I've encountered various traumatic experiences in my life. Strongest one probably recently is seeing my mother pass away in front of me.
Yeah.
And still nothing. I've moved through that stuff, not fully, but enough where it's not like an intense situation, but still nothing trumps not having a secure attachment as a kid.
Yeah.
That no matter what I've experienced in my life,
Yep.
any adverse situation, horrible experiences, not having a secure attachment as a kid to my parents is still something that is really hard for me to. I live outside of it, my awareness, but it still comes up a lot. My nervous system is like that.
It's the foundation of our life.
Yeah.
Right. So early life is how we make sense of the world, right? Like that's when we as an organism start to better understand our environment. Like we're getting feedback, right? And if there was an absence of connection, or there was sporadic or intermittent connection and not necessarily reliable emotional support, that's the blueprint, right? So learning that takes time.
Did you have a secure attachment growing up?
I did, yeah.
So was it a journey for you in that realm? Or?
There were moments of fracturing of that, and I had some pretty significant experiences during my teenage years where that whole, what I thought was a secure attachment was just totally fragmented for me. And so I've been pulling, I've put the pieces back together, but continue to put the pieces back together, trusting in relationships and things like that.
I know it's obviously a very individual answer, but for people who did struggle having that growing up, which is almost all of us in the system, because again, capitalist structure, parents have to work all the time, no time to be at home for the kids. Almost everyone is under that boat. What are the first steps people can take to start healing that wound of not feeling securely attached?
Well, not feeling securely attached, like really. So beginning where we are. Where I point people when it comes to attachment work is Diane Poole Heller's work. So Diane Poole Heller wrote a book called The Power of Attachment, and I highly recommend it. She's somatically trained. She worked with Dr. Peter Levine for years. I think she still may be a trainer for the Somatic Experiencing Institute. But so she understands the nervous system component, but she also understands the attachment component, and the two are intimately connected, like how we're forming bonds with others. But that book really describes the styles of connection and some strategies that we can use in partnerships or in friendships to better get to know ourselves, and then to start venturing to get to know that dynamic. Because in connecting with another, there's a risk. Like and we'll just use like figurative example here, right? When I reach for you emotionally, right? When I make an attempt to connect with you, there's an inherent risk that I won't be met, or I'll be met with intensity. Let's just use the example, you reached out to me for an interview.
Yeah.
Right? And so in that reaching out, there's a possibility that there's a risk inherent in that you'll be rejected or that you'll be ignored, right? And then when the connection's made, then there's a risk of deeper connection. And with deeper connection, there's a risk of losing that connection. Right? So inherent in all interactions that we're having with people, there's this dance that's occurring. And so for those of us that want to better get to know ourselves and maybe develop a new style, we first get to know, well, what is my style of connecting? What happens in me as I'm reaching for or waiting for somebody to reach back to me or being in connection with another? Then we get to know that. And then, okay, well, in those moments where I notice my anxiousness coming up or my impulse to pull away or turn away or not connect, can I be with the feeling of that? And then can I explore connecting a little and then doing whatever it is that helps me to feel settled inside, right? So it's the beginning of that exploration is what I would say.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to watch more content, click this video right here. And please don't forget to subscribe right here. Thank you.